everyone. I'm Frank Caruso, producer of Oregon Life, and welcome to a brand new episode. In this episode, we get to meet an extraordinary actor, singer, dancer. His name is Brendan Moore. Stay tuned for this episode of Oregon Life.
All right. Hi, my name is Brendan Moore. I am, of course, playing Fester, as you can see with the bald cap right here. And I've had a lot of fun getting to know Fester and kind of working as the character throughout the show so far with all the other actors. When I was first auditioning, there was a lot of talk backstage of who was going to get Fester and like who was going to get each individual part. Of course, all the different leads, it was all crazy talk. And finally, when it came out, I was very excited that I got Fester because I know Fester's a very notorious character. And there's something interesting about the way he always smiled, which I knew would be a little rough to do, of course, masked on stage. But, of course, his energy in the old shows and movies that he was always in, his energy was all he really needed to encapsulate. So I'm hoping to really push that out on stage with all the pizzazz that they put into the show nowadays. So really, it's just going to be a blast. You also got to thank Evelyn over here for getting this all sorted out. Trust me, it's a lot, and I could not do it on my own. That is for sure. That's very exciting.
So when I fell in love with acting, I have been told the story a lot, but I barely remember it. I was 7 years old, and it was my first community theater production. It was with Oregon Straw Hat Players here in Oregon, and we were doing Oliver. I was playing a little orphan boy, and after I think the first rehearsal, I have been told that I jumped right into my mother's car, and the first thing I said to her was, "Mom, I know what I want to do with my life." And it looks like I've been doing that ever since, so I knew what I was talking about. I've loved acting ever since. Specifically, whenever the audience was clapping or applauding, like right at the end of a show, when all the little kids ran out, and of course, we're gonna get applause because we're adorable little, like, 7-year-olds. But as a kid, you think, oh, I just did so amazing that they loved me. And everyone's applauding and the parents are all cheering. It was my first, like, lick of a wide-scale appreciation of the masses, and I loved that, sincerely. So I wanted to keep seeking that out. But what I really loved in the theater was more of the sense of community in the backstage area. It's a little silly, but we all had little Nintendo DS's or whatever, and we used to play Mario Kart whenever we had free time backstage. And I remember after just the first week of rehearsals, we were all close-knit friends because of all the games we would play together, not just our little devices, but, you know, we had all those fun, like, Zip Zap Zops and theater acting games we'd play together. And then we were on stage and we were a community. We were a little family, and that stuck with me. I wanted to keep seeking that out ever since I started. I am as scared as I imagine everybody else is about being up on stage, especially with going into this after COVID, with everything just having shut down and everybody telling kids nowadays of how challenging it is to be an actor. We have a funny friend who, when telling, I forget what teacher it was, when telling one of his teachers that he was going to be an actor when he grew up, that teacher said, "You know, your catchphrase will be, 'Do you want fries with that?'" That's a little harsh, but it did set a reminder to me that, yeah, the acting life is not an easy one, but it is definitely a fun one. In every show I've done, there's been a certain little spark of joy that you can't find pretty much anywhere else. So although I know it's going to be hard, and I know it's going to take many, many years of my life to really build myself up as a actor and make a name for myself, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it any other way. So the show that I am the most proud of, it's a show I did with the Verona Area Community Theater recently. It was Something Rotten, wherein I played the lead character, Nick Bottom, who is an aspiring actor in the time of Shakespeare, or an aspiring playwright in the time of Shakespeare, which is a bit of a problem because Shakespeare's obviously stealing everybody's thunder. And in the show, he's portrayed as a bit of like a pompous, oh, I don't want to say anything, not child-friendly, but he's a little, he's very pompous. And so Nick is doing everything he can to just try and get by writing his own plays, and his brother's a creative genius, so it's a strange how it works out, but Nick eventually goes to a soothsayer to look into the future and tell him what will the greatest thing in theater be, wherein that soothsayer tells him it will be musicals. And the whole show becomes this wild, kind of a time travel musical about, oh great, we're gonna get musicals pulled back into Shakespeare time, and we're gonna write Hamlet, the musical. But it's a little mistranslated to be, instead of Hamlet, Omelette, the musical. So it's all about eggs, and it gets wild. And through that role, that was a role that I won a Jerry Award for, and using the music of that show, I brought that to the Jimmy Awards, and that was what got me nominated to be in the Jimmy Awards. That's what won me that audition. So that's why I'm really proud of that role, and it got me this far, not to mention how much fun it was. The cast was great. Oh my gosh. So the process for auditioning for the Jimmys and how it all came together was when you win a lead role award in the Jerrys, don't get it confused, Jimmy and Jerry, when you win for the Jerrys, you're able to audition for the Jimmys. So around 25 to 30 kids that won lead awards did audition for the Jimmys. We all got together, some family were in there. We had a lot of people sitting in the Overture Center. And we had a panel of about 12 judges. Tim and Cara, if you know them, they're in charge of all the Jerry stuff. And each of the kids came up, they sang one 32-bar cut of a song that they won for their Jerry Award. And then they had to bring a full song of a contrasting piece. And then after the judges heard every kid go through those, they went and talked for like 10 minutes, came back, and only about 10 of us stayed. There were 3 guys and around 6 girls that stayed behind for callbacks. And then that lasted a while. We were there for about 4 hours after they brought callbacks in, and they just kept having the kids. What they made me do was they made me come up and I sang another song for them. They had each of us prepare a new song. I sang one, they were like, okay, that was nice. How about you try this other thing in your book instead? So I sang that instead. They came up, and after everyone had done that, they came back up and brought some people up for coaching. So some of the people are voice teachers or acting teachers. They came up and led me through the song in a way I hadn't thought about it before. Specifically, they had me sing Fight the Dragons from the musical Big Fish, which is one I love. And they really delved into the emotions of the character as they're singing, and honestly, in 5 minutes, let me experience the song in a way I never had before. And that might be in part to how I won, because after that, they left for 20 minutes and all the kids were stressing out, so we all sat down in a circle on the floor right in the audition place and just waited it out until the judges came back. And that night, we found out who was going to be going to New York. So when I finally go to New York, we are going to be having a pizza party as soon as we get there, after we get our COVID tests and all that. And then as soon as that's over, we're instantly going to start with a Broadway schedule. They're going to put us through as if we were Broadway actors working on a Broadway show. Halfway through the week that we're up there, we're going to see Moulin Rouge on Broadway. But besides that, it's going to be rehearsal, workshop, prepping, and getting as little sleep as we can so we can perform in the actual Jimmy Awards, where they'll have us stitch together everything that makes us look as good as we do. Whatever songs we've brought to prepare, I'm bringing 4 songs, and they're gonna narrow down to just one, I think, that they're just gonna have me sing, along with all the other kids that are there. And there was just a Zoom meeting last night about, okay, here's all the details, and on there were about 100 kids, or maybe some people were parents, but there was at least 160 people on the call. Not sure how many of those were actually participants. So there's a lot of folks up there. It's going to be a great big show when it's finally done. I think tickets are already sold out. Yeah. So if you win the Jimmy Awards, which is a process I don't totally understand. There's judges that are just scattered throughout the camp. I mean, everybody who's teaching you something probably has a say in who they think is going to be best. Because what they're judging is how well will you survive on Broadway. If you were put on Broadway, how would you do? So that's what everybody is trying to decide the whole week. Whoever they decide fits best gets a scholarship to, I assume, whatever college they're going to. And of course, a great thing on their resume. Not like this isn't great already, being put on the Jimmys. But what's exciting is some kids have gone straight from these Jimmy Awards, and I can't remember names, but some have gone straight from the Jimmy Awards to Broadway. So, if all goes well, you might be seeing me in, gosh, I don't know, SpongeBob the Musical coming up right here. I'd be Gary or something, just on the wings. That'd be fun. Something that's kept me going in my acting career. Thank you. We appreciate that. So something that's always kept me going in my acting career. This is another fun story I got. It's just when I was a kid, me and my siblings were taken to see shows often. We saw Lion King when I was really young. I had a great Lion King shirt that I always wore. I love that show. But my kind of dream show, when I saw it, I assume I was like 8, 9, probably younger, could have been 6. I saw online a production of Big Fish, the musical. It's an emotional story. It's also got a movie about, at that age, I was always thinking about, the storytelling that they're talking about, because it's about this father that likes to tell grand stories and his son who's growing up to be a very factual, logical man, and how they just can't relate to each other. So it's a lot about relationships and family bonds and love and storytelling, which are all things that, I just love all that. So the father in that show, and which is funny because it's not the kid. At the younger age, I probably should have related more to the kid, but oh well. The father has a great song called "Fight the Dragons," where he sings about how he has led, in his eyes, a marvelous life, where he has fought many dragons, as an analogy, and how he will continue to fight the dragons for his son until he can. He will fight the dragons for his son because he really does care for his son and his family. And ever since then, Edward Bloom, the father, has been a dream role of mine. It's just a show I really love, and I'd love to be in it someday. What they're looking for at the Jimmys is someone who's got it all. And that doesn't mean you need to be perfect all the time. A story that my voice teacher, Adam, told me was, I forget exactly the role they were auditioning for, but some amazing actress came in, and as soon as she was walking into the audition room in New York, she tripped, dropped all her music, her water bottle opened up, spilled over everything, and she lost it. She started crying and freaking out, but they didn't kick her out. She recollected herself, came on stage, and blew it away. Was some of the best acting for the role that she was auditioning for that they had ever seen. And she got that role, even though she might have flubbed it on the way in. So everybody understands the life of an actor can be pretty stressful. So the Jimmy people are looking for somebody who can handle themselves as best they can, who has talent, sing, act, dance, and somebody who mainly is kind to everyone around them. I'd imagine, this is what I've been told, I assume kindness is a pretty important thing in New York. But you gotta have a little bit of everything, and you don't want to be rude to everyone, because the acting world is all about connections. So if you break any of those off, those get around. So by the time you see this, I'll be back from New York. Hope I did pretty well. Hope you hear the good news at this point. I'll see you when I'm back.
La 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 la. It's a dream that's coming true when the moon says I love you. Oh, and we have a whole backup chorus of singers and dancers with little umbrellas. You can't wait to see it. You're gonna love it.